Hey, how you doing guys? ZDEyE here. So today I really wanted to simply cover all the PlayStation 5 games that were already confirmed, and or I should probably also get put in as well, such as like the rumored games as well. Now, I'm going to be specifically talking about regarding on the PlayStation 5 and the ability and the chances of them coming out on that platform. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not just going to be exclusives. There's going to be a much bigger list than that. And you know what? From this list, as I've just mentioned, since it is not just an exclusives games, first game up is perhaps Assassin's Creed Ragnarok. Well, that's not a real name, at least not yet, and that's more of a rumors going on regarding it, and that there's a chance of it's being called as such. Now, of course, there's always a chance of it's being called a different name as entirely as well, but we do know actually a few things regarding that. It may be centered around the era of the Vikings, so we don't really know what could be happening around that time. We don't even know when is the release date. Presumably will be coming out in the 2020, at the end of 2020, mind you. So of course there's a good chance of it's coming on this current gen consoles and the next gen consoles as well. And you know what? Let's continue, shall we? So the next game is actually very recently was confirmed and will be happening, and it's Bioshock, the PlayStation 5. I should probably rephrase that as well. Now, 2K Games recently announced that the new Bioshock game was actually in the works, and they obviously have not specified on what are the platforms that it's going to be available on, what kind of exclusivity deals, and what kind of deals at all. Now, since we already know that this can take a couple more years for it to be, released, obviously it's going to be coming out on the next gen consoles most likely. And to be honest with you, I kind of doubt that it will even come out on this current gen, like the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One as an example. But you know what? Let's get into the third list, and it's the most obvious one. Cyberpunk 2077. This is a rumor, it's not confirmation. CD Projekt Red themselves even said it many times all over again and again, saying like they are not concentrating on the next gen consoles for their game to be released. And you know what? I think they will be doing a big mistake if they do not release Cyberpunk on the next gen. And to be honest with you, I don't believe them. I don't believe that they're not thinking about this. I'm 100% certain that they are already making, that kind of sort of push. Let me elaborate a little bit why that is the case as well. I think, well, number one is because of the delay. There's a chance of it's being developed on for the next gen consoles as well as soon as possible. That's why they wanted to keep this game to themselves for the time being, then release in September. A couple months later, next gen console comes out. A couple months later again, Cyberpunk comes out on the PlayStation 5 as an example. I mean, that would be a wise choice. Now, I do get that there were other rumors regarding that the reason of delay is because on the game cannot be played, well, at least not that great, on the Xbox One, the OG one, and there's just big problems on it, and so they had to keep it, back. But again, those things are rumors, we do not know. But I really think that CD Projekt Red will release Cyberpunk on the next gen as well. Next game is Death Stranding. Now, of course, this is actually a game being dated on the PlayStation 4. At this point, we've seen quite a lot of Death Stranding, and we also know that perhaps maybe Hideo Kojima will be interested of hopefully releasing, or I should say re-releasing on the PlayStation 5. We already know it's going to be coming out in summer 2020 for PC release as well. We already know as well regarding that, there's a good chance it may come out on next gen. Good chance. I'm not gonna say for certainty that it will definitely come out, but still will be nice. And of course, let's continue. The next game is Demon's Souls Remake. By the way, guys, I have a separate video all about it on why it deserves a remaster. Well, I should even rephrase that to a remake on the next gen console. And now this is going to be an exclusive game since this is a Sony's IP, and obviously it's going to be only on the PlayStation. We do not know if it will be capable of also be available on the PlayStation 4, but the PlayStation 5, it's kind of given that it will definitely be it. Next game is Diablo 4. Now, of course, we know that it's been announced for the PlayStation 4, but probably won't even release before the PlayStation 5 is out. Now, that's what makes it interesting. I personally think that they obviously, Blizzard would like to confirm and, coming on the PlayStation 5 as well. Obviously more profit to this point because more consoles, more platforms, and obviously more people will be transitioning over to the next gen consoles and such. It would make much sense, wouldn't it? Next game is Dreams on the PlayStation 5. Well, to be honest with you, this is unannounced, but it's very possible. Now, it will be coming out on the Valentine's Day, February, so that's going to be interesting to see how the game will develop. Unfortunately, the game isn't like going to be considered to be one of those big title games, but more of a niche title. But still, you know, with the capabilities of what it can do and what you can craft in that game is pretty incredible, very incredible things. And I really do believe it may even end up coming on a PlayStation 5 and with the more capabilities of anyone who has a creative vision of making games in the game even bigger than ever. By the way, guys, if you want to know, Dreams is more like a creation game. You don't really play it, you kind of create, if that makes sense. And it's pretty damn, it sounds cool, and I kind of want to see more of it. Next game is Dying Light 2. Since Dying Light 2 was already, unfortunately, delayed indefinitely, it was supposed to come out in spring of 2020, but again, it's been delayed. Now, we do not know when it's coming. So I personally think that they're delaying. The main reason of this delay is because they want to make sure that they get closer to the next gen title, well, platform, release on a PlayStation 4 and then release it also on the PlayStation 5 as an example on day one. Just an example. I personally think that might be the main reason of them doing it. So let's continue into the next game. This is more like a given, to be honest with you. It's The Elder Scrolls 6, and in some ways, I don't even believe that this game will be even coming out on PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, because the capabilities of what Bethesda Studios or software that they are trying to do, I don't know. Personally, I would rather see this game on the next gen, so it does not hold any of this bottleneck issues or anything like that on the older gen consoles. Well, current gen, as we're talking about this in this video, of course, but still would be nice. Next game is obviously I'm gonna have to get into the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, we do know that it's gonna be coming in April, since it was delayed also from March, for only just about a month. But we also know that regarding that something has been going on, that it may have parts in this game, so part 1, part 2, obviously they're not gonna clarify as that. Maybe they will re-release the very same game on a PlayStation 5 and also release this game, you know, as an like as parter, right, part 2 on the PlayStation 5 solely. Who knows? But of course they can always consider that it will be coming in the PlayStation 5, that's part 2. Just want to mention that this actually has been in the development for the PlayStation 5 as well, just so you know. And yeah, that's gonna give us a better glimmer of hope of seeing it on the next gen. Ghost of Tsushima is the next game up front, coming in summer 2020, was announced already for the PlayStation 4, but it's been under development on PlayStation 4 for a very, very long time. Don't get the idea that it definitely will come out on PlayStation 5, because there's always a chance, don't get me wrong, but personally, if the game does phenomenally well, I don't have any doubts that it will come out on PlayStation 5 as well. And personally, I would not mind seeing it as well on the PlayStation 5. Personally, again, I very much looking forward to this game. Cannot wait to see what it has in store for us as well. Godfall is the next upfront game. This is an announced first game coming on the PlayStation 5. And by the way, guys, I'm gonna have a breakdown video on this. By the time it will be up, I will make sure to leave down links below in the description and of course in the comments, and so you can take a look at it for yourself. Yes, it's coming on PC as well, just so you know, and on top of that, the PlayStation 5. No, it's not coming on PlayStation 4, well, at least as of yet. Next up is God of War 2, or the sequel, or whatever they're going to be naming it. And of course, this is unannounced. This is important to mention. There has been no announcement regarding if its sequel will be happening, and but Sony Santa Monica has already something going on regarding on their next project. We don't really know what it is, but it's just seemingly inevitable, personally. And I personally think it will be solely coming on the PlayStation 5, because obviously with the studio, as they are, you know, developing exclusive games for the PlayStation, and of course I personally think with full capabilities and quality and stuff, PlayStation 5 is the one to go. And I don't know, maybe that's what they're gonna go for. The next game I'm going to mention is Gods and Monsters, and I personally think it will be, of course, this is announced, just so you know, it will be coming on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, since also it's been delayed from the 2020 February, and indefinitely will be coming somewhere after summer of this year, but maybe even later, who knows, maybe it will come out even later next year. Comes out on PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 as an example. Another one of the games from Ubisoft, just so you know, a new IP. Now, other game is Guerrilla Game was rumored, by the way, guys. This is unannounced as well, but it is in development. The Guerrilla Game, they are developing some kind of multiplayer shooter for the PlayStation 5. Again, this is unannounced, but there's always a chance of why it could actually make that kind of a chance of it making an appearance. Next up is actually one of the games that has been unannounced but very, very strongly rumored is Harry Potter RPG game coming on PlayStation 5. Again, this is more of a rumor. There's nothing really credible about this. Well, strong rumor. Maybe there is some credibility on that part, but still, it will be interesting to see how diverse and how different it will be compared to other games. I don't know. Personally, I'm not much of a fan of Harry Potter movies or books or. But still, it will be interesting to see what kind of how kind of approach they're gonna go for. Next up is the obvious choice, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or sequel or whatever they're gonna call it. It's actually been unannounced, but it is inevitable. I think they would make a big mistake of not actually producing a sequel for this game, and it's still, though, I really do expect it to coming in the PlayStation 5. Perhaps even to say PlayStation 5 alone, so exclusive as well. I don't even think it will even come out on PlayStation 4. Now, the other game is a little bit on the stranger side. It's more of a Housemarque AAA game anyway, coming on PlayStation 5. This is unannounced, but it is expected on PlayStation 5, just so you know. It's actually been a speculation regarding the collaboration between Sony and the Housemarque, but with the developer putting all of its other projects on hold to work on the so-called AAA title, it's widely assuming that this will be a PlayStation 5 launch game. Exactly what it will entail is being kept under wraps for now, so we don't really know much about it. But let's get into the next game. It's perhaps inevitable at some points. The Last of Us Part 2. So it's actually, as we already know, it's been delayed on PlayStation 4 till May, but given of course of its release window, I personally think as well that it will be coming on PlayStation 5. And personally honest, again, I really do expect it to come out on PlayStation 5. It's just, more profits, more sales makes sense for Naughty Dog to do. The other game is actually The Lord of the Rings, Gollum on PlayStation 5. This is announced, but perhaps it will be coming out in 2021, and when of course the PlayStation 5 will be available as well during that time. Now, we don't really know too much about it. It's just like more like a narrative-driven action-adventure game from a Daedalic Entertainment by the name. So it will be coming on all the relevant platforms in 2021, and it's also been confirmed, by the way, that it will includes the Sony's consoles as well. Well, the next-gen console. Yet another big game. It's unannounced, but it's just inevitable with the success, because Marvel's Spiderman 2. Insomniac, I think they will be completely idiots to not make sure to make a sequel. And personally, to be honest with you, I really do expect to see this game coming on the PlayStation 5. On top of that, I don't really think it even will come out on PlayStation 4, but a couple more years until development and the time and waiting, of course, and the efforts that the Insomniac are putting into. This will be exclusive game, of course, and Spiderman is a Sony title game and a trademark on top of that, so obviously it will be exclusively on PlayStation, and of course it will be coming on PlayStation 5. I think it's inevitable by the time we'll see or hear more about this game, and personally that would be pretty damn epic. I don't know if you guys know about this game. I'm sure you do know about it. It's the NBA Live 21. It's announced for the PlayStation 5, just so you know, but still, it's just playing with different routes with the direction. Personally, I'm not about sport games. I'm just gonna skip on that. You tell me down in the comments what do you think about the NBA Live. Just the other game, Overwatch 2, it's been announced for the PlayStation 4, but has no release window as of yet. and well, PlayStation 5 version will most likely be coming as well for this game, especially with that many people are big fans of Overwatch game. And it isn't in the development for this gen, but in some ways I just don't see them not hitting the PlayStation 5 markets as well. So, the other game is the Playroom 2 on a PlayStation 5. This is unannounced, but likely considered that the dev team is working on. This is likely. And I don't know, this is one of those games that was actually a pre-installed game on the PlayStation 4 designed to show off the new bells and whistles of the console and of course of its controller as well, but there's always a chance of it's actually making their appearance. Personally, I'm not much into it, but still it will be interesting to see how they go about it. Okay, so the other game is actually called Project Awakening on the PlayStation 5. It's actually been announced already for the PlayStation 4, but it's actually apparently still in a very heavy development, and it is expected to be coming on the next gen title as well. Now, there's not much known about this. For example, though, this is like just more mentions, right? The ambitious RPG reportedly still deep in the development, as I mentioned, but the Japanese company has bold plans, including like a such 12-player co-op and a gigantic open world. And I don't know, this seems like it could be interesting, coming up front of this game, and I would like to see what it can be made of. So, the other Ubisoft game is actually Rainbow Six Quarantine. It's announced for the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, so this is confirmed. This is also one of the big batches of Ubisoft titles that have been delayed. That was supposed to be coming in early 2020, but now not any longer. Perhaps could have been delayed for a year. We do not know, but still more like a PvE to the shooter called Rainbow Six Siege, if you guys know it, and I'm sure there's a very strong following for that game as well. Rainbow Six Quarantine, we do not unfortunately know about the date, but still does look like one of those interesting games. So the other game is actually Sniper Elite 5. It's announced with no platform confirmed though, but most likely will be coming out in the next gen title. Well, as a next gen title. By the way, the developers actually the Rebellion, and they actually said it's been busy beavering away of its new Sniper Elite game, and of course they're keeping all the details closer under its hat, so until the next year, of course, and we don't really know much about it, but still it's always a possibility of its making an appearance. Starfield, one of the Bethesda games, it's actually announced with no platform specifications, but it's pretty much strongly hinted that it will be coming in a next-gen title, as a next-gen title, my apologies. It's yet another one of those early in the development, well, perhaps even midway development at the point, but still it was actually early announced since 2018 at the E3. We did not hear anything about it since then. We only saw this glimpse of teaser, and that's really it. So, we do know that Starfield will be coming first, then Elder Scrolls 6 though, so that's kind of a given when you can expect to see this game. The other game is actually Uncharted 5. Now, it's unannounced, but new San Diego based heavily expected to be working on a new Uncharted game. Now, we know that Sony has established a new studio in San Diego, which is actually hiring quite aggressively a lot of people. And of course, with its job listings, it actually mentions regarding of the, something could be going on with the revelations with the Uncharted games. And on top of that, with the ex-Uncharted staff all recruited to the project on top of that. Maybe it will not be a continuation to the Uncharted game, maybe it will be a reboot, or maybe it will be completely taking a different direction. We do not know, of course, but it is expected for it to be coming on the PlayStation 5. The last game I wanted to mention is also one of the Ubisoft games, Watch Dogs Legion, was announced for the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4. Now, this is one of those games that I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm very glad the way it got delayed. I personally think, delay is always a good thing, of course, but we don't unfortunately know when it will be coming out. It is expected right before the launch of the next gen consoles, but still, I'm very much interested in checking it out. Well, at that, these were most of the games that are interestingly will be coming out and on the next gen titles titles, next-gen titles, great. I keep messing this up, aren't I? Next-gen consoles, I should probably rephrase that. But still, this is going to be an interesting time, and basically, there's so many games coming, it's quite insane. Well, at that, thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe, see you guys all later, and yeah, have a good one.